Hey everybody, and it's time once again for Once More with Feelings. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth, and we are an emotional journey podcast. We want you to swing into the movies that we love and reflect on the emotions that they whip up.
Wow, that was pushing it.
I could have said, let's crouch into the emotionals. Because this is a very crouchy driven movie.
Pantsless.
Pantsless, crouchy movie.
Okay, so on that note, we are doing this week Legend, the 1985 Ridley Scott flick.
Would you like me to read the wiki?
Yes. You
want to do that again?
Yes.
The story is set in a mythical world of unicorns, fairies, goblins, and demons. The plot centers on Jack, a forest-dwelling youth of pure heart who must stop the Lord of Darkness from plunging the world into eternal night by killing the last unicorns and extinguishing the sun. When Princess Lili inadvertently helps the goblins locate the unicorns, chaos ensues, and Jack must embark on a perilous quest to save both the world and Lili.
So, in my clue last week, I had said that this movie stars one of my favorite actors and one of my least favorite actors, and that is...
Are they the same person?
Tim Curry. Tim Curry is my most favorite. He is up there with the greats, because there's not much I have ever seen him in that I didn't go, damn, Curry, you know? Even on Psych, you know? But I am not a Tom Cruise fan. This is one of 2 approved Tom Cruise movies in the Michelle book of approved Tom Cruise movies.
What's your second one?
Far and Away with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess, for you.
Yes.
For me, Tom Cruise is approved for certain ones. There are very few. Top Gun is one.
Okay.
Not the sequels.
No.
Just Top Gun. That's the one I liked him in.
Mm-hmm.
And Magnolia.
I don't think I've seen either of those movies.
Okay, well, that's valid.
There's a lot of movies I've not seen, so, I mean, it works out that way.
But you have to admit, no matter what you think about this movie,
it's not good.
Tim Curry ate.
Oh, God.
He ate that role for lunch, dinner, breakfast the next morning after he had sex with it.
Literally, people were saying that it was the best played role in a bad movie. Now, you have to understand, I love this movie. I love it. I know it is not a good movie. But you start with your feels, because then I'm going to get into mine, and mine are a little bit...
Okay, very easy for me.
Yeah.
Legend was boring. When I saw it in 1985, because I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
It was boring. Mm-hmm. I went there, saw it, I was like, okay, this sucks. But on the big screen, I was enthralled with the visuals. Mm-hmm. There is nothing like the cinematic sequencing, the stages themselves, the sets, the
Beautiful.
Design, the way they use light, the way they use darkness, the way they use the gothic makeup, the way they use the reds, the vibrant green for the glowy parts, and they did such a good job with that. If the writing and the acting... Mm-hmm.
And there's some good actors in this movie.
I'm not saying bad actors. I'm saying the acting in accordance with the screenwriting was bad. It was just bad and ham-fisted and very, disjointed and couldn't tell what was happening. The dubbing was a problem. It was dubbing.
I literally, in my notes, I wrote so much dubbing, and I'll explain why.
Yeah, we know why. I think everybody knows why. It's 85 now. You know, we've had years to dissect this, but maybe people don't. But I'm not saying you can't go over it. I'm just saying that this is something we all know about. I don't think it's anything on William Hortzberg, whatever his name is, who wrote it. But it's just not a good screenplay. It's just bad.
It's not. And so here's the thing. This came out, it was released in 1985 in Europe, and particularly in France. and they got a different cut than what we got in the United
Well,
States
yeah,
in
there's a
86.
European cut, yes.
And apparently, even Tom Cruise does not like the American cut. He said that the French cut was better because he's been pretty vocal when people have asked him about it, how he didn't really care about being in the movie. And actually, he said the director's cut is the best, but that's because you're going to get everything. The dubbing in this movie, there's parts. I mean, so let me go over the actors really quickly. We've got Tom Cruise is Jack of the Green, which I love because of the name Jack of the Green. I'm a huge Old Gods of Appalachia podcast fan, and they use the green a lot, and I love that concept. So
I kind of picture that more of as a Tom Bombadil.
Probably,
Bombadil
yeah. I mean, they're going for like
stand-in,
like just a forest child, yes. But I just liked how it's Jack of the Green, you know. Tim Curry plays Darkness, which, oh, that poor man, what he went through to even. No wonder he gave such a beautiful performance because of the shit he went through.
You only want to do it once.
Oh,
you don't want to go back into makeup again.
No, and we'll talk about that too later. Mia Sara played Lili, and this was one of her first roles.
She was 16.
She was a baby, very much a baby. And what I think is funny is that Natalia Dyer, she played Nancy Wheeler in Stranger Things, looks like her doppelganger. Like, I feel like you look at Mia Sara at that age and you look at Natalia Dyer, they look like the same person. It's almost like the whole, the guy.
I mean, they're close. Yes, they have similar structure.
Oh, yeah, but like when I first saw Stranger Things, I always want to say Needful Things. When I saw Stranger Things for the first time, when she came on the screen, I went, oh my God, she looks like Mia Sara. I mean, that was my first thought.
Yeah.
We have Annabelle Layton, who played Una. I don't know what else she's done outside of that. A lot of these are foreign actors, too, so...
Not something we're going to encounter here in America.
No. So David Bennett he plays Honeythorn Gump. His lines were dubbed because they thought his German accent was too thick.
And they were dubbed by...
Alice Playton, who played Blix. Now, when they did this for Germany, they reversed. She did, so she did his lines for the American. He did her lines for the German.
Right.
So, yeah.
This is a beautiful mess of a movie.
Oh, yes.
No matter which take you have.
So the studio burnt down at one point. And so the scenes in the beginning are done in this forest.
There was a lot of fire.
But they had to dub Tom Cruise and Mia Sara's lines. They had to go back and redo them because you couldn't hear them over the sounds of all the birds. And I've never been aware of the birds before until we watched it. And I'm listening when they're in the forest. I'm going, oh my God, there's so many birds. You can hear them in the background. No wonder they had to do that. So yeah, a lot of dubbing. Robert Picardo was Meg Mucklebones.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Meg has a bigger part in the European version.
Mm-hmm.
Their banter's a little bit longer before, she dies. But Meg is one of my favorite and short-lived bad guys. Tina Martin played Nell, which is the woman in the cottage in the beginning who Lily goes to see. Billy Barty, he was Screwball. And Billy Barty did a lot of voice acting.
Right.
And I was trying to see if there was like a movie that people would recognize. And I didn't really see any that jumped out at me. But he did a lot of voiceovers. But he was the voice of Figment, Disney's Figment, the dragon.
Oh, okay.
And he did a bunch of stuff with that. So that's pretty cool. Like Alice Playton did a bunch of voices for Disney, too. So it's really cool.
Alice Playton, before she died, did so much. She did so many films and voice acting, a lot of that.
Oh yeah. So there's, like I said, it's a pretty big cast in the sense that there's a lot of little parts. But and I
know they say that Alice Playton did, like supporting roles in this, but let's face it, she was one of the main characters in this film.
Because Blix is a big role, but also then turning around and doing all of the voices for, the voice for Gump, you're just reacting a whole movie.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, then they got to at least reverse it a bit.
Yeah, but Blix was like a huge part of this film.
Oh,
just like the main protagonist for most of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Lord of Darkness was just like the hand-wielding Blix. Blix was doing the heavy lifting.
It's supposed to be like monumental when you finally see darkness.
Right.
And so you only get to see his minions around him at all times. Blix was actually modeled after Keith Richards in a roundabout weird way, which is funny because I always think, how...
So a pirate.
Now, literally, I was going to say, because that's what Captain Jack Sparrow, who is also modeled after Keith Richards to a certain degree. So it's weird. I didn't put the two together, but I guess you can look at the look, I guess, and how, how he's dressed or the character's dressed. So my feels. This movie it's not a good movie. I know it's not a great movie, but it is one of my favorite movies. My grandfather passed away in 1985, and my grandfather was the be all end all for me. I love that man without measure. And I remember seeing the trailers for this movie like right shortly after he passed away. And then when it came out in April, that was my birthday. And I just remember my mom took me to go see it for my birthday in the theater. And I was blown away by it. But unicorns have always been my fucking favorite thing in the world. And my grandfather was one of my biggest unicorn suppliers. And he really was. It was bad. My grandfather was...
He's got him in a duffel bag. He's like getting him over the border.
Not to sound cliche, not to get anybody into trouble, but here we go. He's been long dead for years, so let's just...
I think they can't prosecute him at this point.
A dead guy. He was a security guard at a department store called H.L. Green's when we all lived in New York. And things would, quote unquote, fall off the truck. And
they got holes in them.
They got holes in them. And so I remember seeing this movie when I turned 12 and thinking how much my pop-pop would have loved it to sit there with me and watch this movie. He probably would have hated it. It was so not his movie, his type of a thing. But in my head, I thought, he would appreciate that with me and watching this unicorn movie, even though it's not about unicorns. It is, but it isn't. I don't know. It's just always been a movie that has struck me. And I didn't know who Tim Curry was at the time. I didn't learn for another 2 to 3 years. No, another 2 years who Tim Curry was, because that's when my mother, weirdly enough, introduced me to Rocky Horror Picture Show at the ripe age of 14. Because that's what you do with a 14-year-old is you rent that movie and tell them to watch it. But she must have thought it was okay because she did. And that's when I discovered Tim Curry. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, that's the dude from Clue. Yeah, everything kind of like shuffled in, fell into place. And I still didn't know that he was in Legend. It didn't really even dawn on me then because, it's the makeup and the mask and the voice. And I would rewatch it and go, oh my God, because I didn't really pay attention to the actors and the credits and everything. Not back then. But the movie always makes me nostalgic for that time, not so much the passing of my grandfather, but just the unicorns and the magic and just that person that I was then, that child who still believed in that kind of magic. And there's fairies and there's elves, and I loved that world, even though I was scared shitless of darkness. It drew me in. That was just a fantasy world. And I think that's probably one of the early beginnings of my love of fantasy was experiencing that movie.
Well, when we watched it this time, we watched it on a free service.
Yes.
And it was the original. Mm-hmm. Well, the original
American,
US version. And I don't know if it's just time and the fact that we have HD now, but everything looked like a coating of butter was on the lens.
I think it was probably because it was an archive. Yeah, we were looking for free versions, and we'll talk about that later too. But yeah, it was blurry.
But it was still, you could see through all that, the bad recording, because this was a recording of in some way, that it was just awesome designs, awesome set designs, awesome like lighting, really well done stuff. There are going to be standouts, and we'll go through them kind of as we go through. We're not going to go through the movie, but as we talk about the movie, we'll go through those different things. But first, it starts off with deep in Mordor. You have the Lord of Darkness.
Yes.
Who says, "I feel a presence in the forest," and already you're thinking you're going to be sued by Lucasfilms.
Yes.
Everything kind of points to that way. You're getting the idea of like fantasy and magic and everything right from the start.
Oh, yeah.
You have the green eyes, which you never really see again. Honestly, I think they should have kept that. Mm-hmm. They got the green eyes, the green glowy fingernails, the talons. Lord of Darkness, done really well. Tim Curry eats every scene he is in because he's always hungry.
His voice has, and I think that's probably why I never really saw it as him in other things, is while he does have that quintessential Tim Curry voice, it's his delivery of lines are very heavy, very slow, like molasses slow, and it's just this very well thought out deliverance, really. And knowing the pain that man was in during this kind of lends to why.
Right. And then we have, the story itself, which he's fighting against. Because the story itself is very plain. It is tropey.
Good versus evil.
It is very tropey. The one thing that I do like about the story, the overarch of the story itself, isn't that good wins against bad. Good and evil, or yes, they fight, they conflict, but at the end, it's not about getting rid of darkness. It's just accepting the fact that that's part of life.
Well, yeah, and it's the dark, even like, okay, so there's symbolism in the movie, and her ring in the beginning, when she takes off her ring and she does two things, one right after the other, extremely stupid. One, you do not invoke any type of general statement to the universe, such as, I will marry whoever finds this ring, and then leave it at that. And then the second thing is she tosses it into the freaking river or the pond or lake, whatever it is. But the thing about that ring is it's a pearl, and one side is black and one side is white. So you're seeing immediately that whole balance in light and dark. And without one, there's not the other. So while good doesn't need to triumph over evil, good needs to re-establish that balance because evil was taking over all of it.
Well, yeah, and the whole point of Lili is not as a good guy. Lili's not the good guy. Lili is the fulcrum.
Yes.
She's the balance upon which these two things tip. Jack is the good in this scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Lord of Darkness is the bad in this scenario. Although I would posit that Bix is actually the...
Yeah, Blix is like...
Blix is the actual opposite end of the spectrum for Jack.
Yes.
And not Lord of Darkness, who is more the concept. I would say that the Lord of Darkness is more the unicorn.
Yeah, he's the unicorn's counterpart. I can see that. Yeah.
Than Jack. So Blix is actually more the counterpart of Jack.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
That is my belief on that. And throughout the story, you have like three goblins who mainly hang together until they no longer do. And that's, you have Blix, who is Alice Playton, and you have Pox and Blunder. Those three are the Three Stooges.
Yes.
For most of the time until like a quarter of the film has gone by before you realize there's even going to be more than that.
Yes.
And they're fun to watch.
They are.
That's the most interesting part of the story is watching the goblins.
The rhyming and the give and take.
It's the occasional rhyming. It's like rhyming
true.
when you want it to happen.
Because it's not, there's no like reliability. It's not like Blix talks in verse all the time. But when they do, they do.
And when you're talking about the set design, you're talking about the things that are happening on the screen, I want to give a special shout out to the bubble machine that worked tirelessly throughout years. It prepared in marathons before this.
The bubble machine.
All the children's parties, all of the gay dance recitals. The bubble machine was there, practicing, saving up.
The pool raves.
Saving up for this one exact moment in which it would take over the full length of this film.
Oh my God.
The bubble machine was there.
And here I was literally going to say the detail work, like in the cabin in the beginning, in Nell's cabin, the detail work I think was really nice. There were nice little, I don't know, it was authentic. It wasn't just like, that's one thing, even while the dialogue is not enough. Like it leaves you wanting.
It's stilted. It's broken.
But like you were saying, the sets, the visuals are beautiful.
Oh, it's like they spent nothing but time on the sets.
Yeah, they're stunning.
Either they did that, or we're just really bad at seeing what set designs look like because they're so detailed. They're so oriented very specifically for the film. You know, you have that innocence and evil chasing each other through the clock.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I mean, that's
And that's where it freezes, is with the demon chasing.
Right. And that's
right there.
Well, the goblin, I think, is what it's supposed to represent. Yeah. But you have, that really ham-fisted detail. But there's a lot of little details all throughout just that little
The sheen of crystals on Nell's face when she's frozen.
Right.
It's subtle, but it's there.
That's another thing. Glitter Factory.
Oh,
they have been putting... They amassed such a glitter...
The Glitter Factory.
A glitter mound for this whole set.
Tom Haverford would be so happy.
They had to enlist so many strippers to bring in the glitter and shake it all around.
Oh, we're not gonna talk shit about the strippers.
No, we're not talking shit. They did an awesome job. There was glitter everywhere in this film, and I think there's still glitter there today.
To this day,
I don't know where the set was done. Do you know?
Oh shit, somewhere in England, I think. I forgot.
That glitter is still there.
I didn't write it down, so I immediately forgot.
And I'm sure
we were going to bring it up. Little did I know we were going to bring it up.
Look, I noticed things about the set because the story is so boring. You saw me. I was fidgeting. I was walking around. I cannot sit for this movie. The times I can sit is when, first of all, Tim Curry is speaking.
Yes.
When he's speaking, I sit.
Yes.
Why?
Because you will...
Because he is the Dom, and I will
And you respect that shit.
I will sub for Tim. And, there are... you have Mia Sara, who is the dance scene.
Oh, yes.
The dance of corruption is so well done and so spectacular. It's very simple, but very direct in what it's doing. And she plays it beautifully. It had to have been hard for her as a 16-year-old child to really bring in that depth of emotion.
Oh, yeah.
But she ran with that. She does a very great, subtle job of playing those emotive states. And then when she did what I like to call the dance of corruption, then she played into the whole thing and she started twirling and she did the Gothic Wonder Woman. Yeah. Where she spins and then...
And then her clothing changes.
Yeah. Cradle of Filth plays and she's got Gothic garb on.
Cradle of Filth.
And then she's not a bad guy. She's that into the fulcrum. So you see that's when the balance shifted.
Yes.
And now she is there as a visual reminder of the balance as it stands.
Yes.
And right now she's out of balance and she is in. At the very first of the film, they show her where she is dancing around. She's having a good time. And to her friend that she loves, takes the clothesline down and makes all the clothes fall on the ground.
Yes, and then she's like, those fairies.
She has a bit of both.
Yeah.
She is good and bad. She is not pure of heart.
No.
I don't think that is ever the case.
No,
I don't like that they say that about her in the movie.
No, I don't.
Jack is pure of heart.
Jack is the pure of heart.
She is just the fulcrum, which is reflected in those who have the balance.
So while it's not like something that they come out and say, I do believe that it goes to that purity factor, the virginity, purity. She's a maiden. She's innocent. And I think unfortunately, that's always been the mythos of unicorns. So...
Yeah, but it was Jack that actually brought her.
Oh, yeah.
Jack is the pure one. He was the one that actually could see the unicorns.
Well, the fact that when she's the one who pet them, and that's when they got shot, the female or the male got shot, that's when, it was her. She was the distraction that caused that to all happen.
Right.
Wouldn't probably have happened if Jack was there, but Jack would not have put himself in the position to do that or put them in that position. So there have been unicorn mythos all across the world, which I honestly didn't realize it was. I always thought it was European because it just, to me, it smacks of a European thing. But there have been in China and just basically you think of the culture and they have a version of unicorn mythos because I wanted to look into it.
Oh yeah, no, there are many different types of unicorn mythos, and including ones in the sea.
And they're all pretty much symbols of purity and innocence, in one shape or another,
or fierceness. And sometimes their purity is derived from their sense of duty. Mm-hmm. So they have a fierceness of duty or something like that. Medieval unicorns, very different from the idea of European unicorns now.
And then there's that whole man trying to create unicorn. So there has literally been people who have tried to graft horns onto horses.
That's horrifying.
There have been people who have taken horse skeletons and put a narwhal tooth on them. There is the fact that they might have mistaken woolly, the bones or the not the bones, but like woolly rhinoceros as a unicorn.
Oh yeah, no, that's a definite thing because the skeletons, what is preserved, would not register as a rhinoceros.
No.
It would register as a very tall, very broad horse.
Yes. And then we have, there are unicorns. I think they're called, and now I forget, I should have written this down. I think they're called Asian unicorns, but I could be wrong about this. But they live in a specific forest. And I remember when I used to do Gish that we raised money to protect that piece of rainforest or forest in Asia and to protect their habitat. And they look kind of like an antelope with like one horn.
Did I tell you that I have a doctorate in Gishology?
I have many.
Yeah, but I have one as well. We share a doctorate.
So yes, Gish is an old, it's a scavenger hunt that we used to partake in that used to happen yearly. If you don't know, it was fantastic. It was hosted by Misha Collins, the actor, and it was through his Random Acts organization. It was fantastic, but yes.
I think in the world as it is now, right now, at this moment,
we really could use
we need to have Gish back.
We really do.
I think Misha needs to bring Gish back.
So
this is my call for you to send a shout out, our listeners to send a shout out to Misha Collins.
Yeah.
And ask him to bring Gish back.
I actually have his number that he uses to contact people. So when he does Gish and when he does he does like.
But we should have the numbers. People should call.
Yeah. I miss Gish. We need it. It's been a few years. So let's go ahead and get over this because I don't care for Tom Cruise in a personal way. No.
But his acting, you cannot deny the man can do the things he can do. Oh yeah,
he can. I'm not saying he can't act.
No, I know
I'm
that.
I'm just saying I don't like him.
But let's talk about Tom Cruise and his mighty thews.
His thighs?
His mighty thews.
His thews.
His thews. His thighs.
Yes, because the man has some pretty nice thighs because he didn't wear pants in the whole entire movie.
That's right. You did not see anything, any kind of pants. No pantaloons. No breeches.
No, a
No
lot of crotch
leggings.
shots though, because when he would fight, you would end up like seeing, up his skirt basically, because he was wearing armor that made him look like he was wearing Daddy's big T-shirt.
The armor, and everyone should know this if you look up any kind of trivia at all on the internet. But as a kid, I recognize that instantly as bottle caps, as flattened bottle caps, because who as a kid did not flatten bottle caps and then make them into things? So I had already made things with bottle caps using that method. And then when I saw all those scalloped edges, I'm like, those are bottle caps. They just spray painted bottle caps. I thought it was hilarious.
That is cool. I mean, it's funny because it is. You don't picture, bottle caps as armor, but I guess it worked for him.
Right.
For his gold armor.
They had to save costs where they could because look at the set.
Well, because they were afraid Tim Curry was going to sue them. I mean, I would have if I were Tim. I mean, I know you pretty much, when you're an actor, you kind of have to deal with a lot of shit. But so if you're not in the know, Tim Curry had, first the horns were massive. The first set that he couldn't lift them up. They finally, why didn't they do this in the first place? Come up with a set that were hollowed out. And then.
And a little bit floppy.
He would have to sit in a bath every day to dissolve the glue that held the latex, whatever it was, on him. And one time he was getting claustrophobic and he freaked out and started pulling it off and he ripped his own skin.
That is understandable.
They had to take, that was one of the times that they had to take a break in filming, was so he could recover from it. But yeah, I don't know.
We're going to sing Tim Curry's praises because
I love him so much.
He's a fantastic actor. He can run the gamut on just about everything. He is there. He always puts 100% of himself in, even in a TV show like Psych.
Yes, and he's just, I've not, like I said, I've never seen him in anything that I didn't go, I love you. You are Tim Curry. I love you.
Or just marvel at how fantastic he is in the role that he's playing.
Oh my God. And if you think we're bad now, wait till we do Clue.
Oh yeah. No, that'll go a little bit crazy.
Oh my God.
So Tom Cruise as Jack of the Green, or Jack of the Green, I guess, but I like to say Jack O' the Green.
Yeah, well, that's how it's written, Jack O' the Green.
Oh, okay.
Jack O' the Green.
I didn't look that up.
Yep, I did.
He himself, to me, is more of a fae.
He's a child of the forest.
Because he is a child of the forest, he's more like a doppelganger. I'm talking about the traditional sense in fae mythology, being a doppelganger or a changeling.
I was going to say a changeling. That's what I can see him as.
Yeah.
So, we don't know the backgrounds. We assume Lili is a princess. We don't really 100%
They don't go into that. Now, I don't know if that's just because it's the U.S. cut or not, but they don't go into the backstory of anything except that you know that when she is talking to her friend Nell, at the start, Nell says, that she lets you know that she is the servant, and that she shouldn't be here with the poor people.
Yes, and then her response is, no proclamation from any king is going to keep me from the forest today.
Right.
So we don't really know. We just know that she's definitely of a higher caste system.
Right.
And she is not a peasant, a peon, whatever you want to call him. So but then you look at him and like I said, we don't know what his family is like. We don't know where his background is. But he does have that wild child raised in the forest, definitely a ranger, but
right.
Yeah, but also a little druidish,
Yeah, and I think that Jack is like he is the resilience of the film. He is the thing that keeps going.
And what's funny is so so after the whole her touching the unicorn and they get the horn and blah blah blah, and Gump appears, Honeythorn Gump,
right,
and then he's like. Jack is like, the fuck is this? And he goes, a child of the forest not knowing the Gump? And so, the Fae themselves know of Jack, but he doesn't necessarily... It's like, even though you know that Jack knows that this world exists because he knows of the unicorns, he's not really a part of that magical world until this moment. And even how, at the end, they stay on their side as Jack and Lili leave the forest... They're still, with the unicorns and all the Fae and Una, and it's there's a separation between their worlds.
But this is what I was talking about before. Whereas the Lord of Darkness is firmly in that world,
Yes.
in his section of the world, he brings Lili to that side. Mm-hmm. At the end, you're seeing Jack bringing Lili to that side.
Yes.
To the side of light. It's just the opposite side.
Yeah.
So this is not... It is Jack's world because that is Jack's... That's why Jack represents that.
Well...
That he is the representation of that world. Now Lili is on that side.
So we can actually go one step further. So we've got the darkness and the dark world. We have the unicorns and the light world. And then there's Jack's world. So...
Oh, yeah, I guess you could say that.
So,
that he's got more of the balancing
and she's
part,
the fulcrum.
So maybe I misjudged that.
Well, if she's the fulcrum and Jack is part of that balanced world of light and dark, knowing that both sides exist and knowing that it needs to stay right there in the middle, no one side overpowering the other, that's why they didn't stay with the unicorns and the fairies and the elves. They went off into their own thing, to their own world. So there's that balance in their world. So yeah, you can look at it as that there's three. I mean, and there is.
But that would explain why he's the green, because
Yeah.
we're talking about there is light, which is white.
Yes.
And you have darkness, which is black, the darkness of the absence of light.
Yes.
And then you have in the middle, which requires both light and darkness in order to thrive.
And there's shadows.
And that is the green.
Yes. And there's in that forest there is beams of bright sunlight, but there's also shadows, and
Right, because all parts of the forest need
both.
light and darkness.
Yeah, so I mean it's visually, again, it's a stunning movie.
Well, conceptually, when we're talking about the literal sense of the literal script, the written word is horrifying. But everything else, all the direction they put into it it's one of Ridley Scott's best films.
So
It's one of his best films conceptually.
conceptually, yes. So another character that I think has a lot of fantastic dialogue compared to everybody else would be Miss Una. So Una's a pixie, and she can turn herself into
A mode of light.
a mode of light, but also a normal size, average size person. Well, a Tom Cruise size person. I had to do it.
Sick burn.
Yeah.
Sick burn on Tom Cruise.
So,
you'll be hearing from his office.
oh God, probably. So she has some great lines. Now, they're not Shakespearean level of work here, and even Shakespeare was no Shakespeare. And I love me some Shakespeare.
True enough.
But she has some great lines, like when she first appears as a full-fledged person, not a mode of light, in front of Gump, and Gump doesn't know that she can do this.
Oh, I love that line.
So Jack knows that she can do this. And then he was like, well, why doesn't Una go and get us a key? Now, he didn't say anything. All he said was, why doesn't Una go get us a key? She gets all pissed, turns herself into a person again, and she goes, you promised. And then Gump is like, treacherous pixie and your secrets. And she's like, but they're mine to keep. So yes, they're her secrets. And she has every right to not tell anybody that she doesn't want, because they're her secrets. And I loved that line. That line is very powerful.
When we have the concepts of light and darkness, there's also another concept that's kind of the underlying concept, or the underlying conceptual arc, which would be that of girlhood to womanhood. Mm-hmm. And in one of those, and it's referenced a couple of times, and here by Una as well, is that you are the owner of your choices, the owner of your body and your mind. Mm-hmm. No one else is. You're your own independent person. Una, I love that line. I think that's a very empowering line.
Yes.
It is her secret to give, and it's hers to keep. Mm-hmm. She makes the choice. And I noticed that Jack, or the Green, did not give that away. She wasn't happy because it implied it.
It implied it.
And as a fairy, she did not have the the ability to keep herself from being angry about it.
Yes.
So she made that known. But also with Lili through this film, we see her going from what would be the most innocent she could possibly be, even to the point of brattiness,
Yes.
into a woman who is understanding the power she actually holds is the power that she holds within herself. It isn't the power to change others. It's the power to keep the core of yourself.
And she did.
Despite what other people are trying to change about you, you get to keep the core of you. And that's...
And you see that when she's at the end, like, so she's in black. She is, the darkness is trying to convince her to eat. And
Goth Lily's my favorite Lily.
And she's like, almost out of nowhere, she goes, I hear a throat that needs to be cut. And it's the unicorn, the female unicorn, which also gets me because that's one of the darkness's lines is when Blix and Blunder come back with the one unicorn horn, the male unicorn horn, the darkness goes, did you bring me two? And they're like, no. But we didn't do, it's just the female. And the darkness is like, a female can reproduce. So, that shows you that, while I hate that that's what that's seen as, is it's a girl, so she can reproduce and make more, instead of seeing it for what it really is. A female is powerful in their own right, not just the male being powerful, which I did appreciate that. But I loved Lily's keeping her secrets to herself as well, with that. She's like, okay, I hear a throat that needs to be cut. And he's like, do you desire blood to spill? And she says, no more so than you desire to drink. Yeah, to drink it.
You to drink it, yes.
But it seems like she's turned on a dime and that she's totally in his pocket. And you believe it all the way up until the end when she says, I want to be the one to cut the unicorn's throat. And she's holding the sword, or I guess a blade. Was it an axe or
it was a sword?
A sword. But instead of hitting the unicorn with it, she breaks the chains holding the unicorn. So that was her trick.
Well, along with Gump
it.
saying,
he's like, shoot her, she's gone evil,
This is right before.
Right before that. He's like, listen to your heart.
I know. Before that, he's saying, listen to your heart. It sounds like they edited out a lot of stuff and got to the point of shoot her in the face.
Yeah, basically.
Kill that bitch.
She crazy. She dressed in black. Her boobies is up. Well, not really, but
she Gothic Wonder Woman killer.
She Gothic Wonder Woman.
So, this is that point where Jack is like, well, I'm going to trust her. I'm always going to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, why would you do that, Jack? Why would you trust anybody? But I guess he made the right decision. I would not have. I would have made the bad decision. I would not have trusted anybody. I would have shot her in the face like Marvin. Which is horrifying, but I would have.
So, I want to talk about the actor who plays Gump for a minute there. So,
is it German?
He is German.
Is it German?
So, David Bennett is a German actor. He was actually born in Switzerland. He's lived in France and he's lived in Germany. It's a creepy thing. And this is the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because it's so fucking creepy. When he was 11 years old, he was in a movie called The Tin Drum. And if you know anything about The Tin Drum, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. Basically, it is about a boy. So he was 11 when he did this. A boy who was in an accident when he was 3 years old and stopped aging. But the movie takes place where he is 18. There is nudity. There is weird sexual scenes in it. And that's about all I want to talk about.
Oh, no, it's big, but with no clothes.
It's just,
That's horrifying.
It's not. In 1979 is when they did it. The movie takes place in World War I-ish time. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen it myself. I have just read way too much about it because...
You went into deep rabbit holes.
Well, actually, I learned about it years ago because something that always bothered me about Gump. And I'm like, I don't understand. Why is his voice so weird? And then has he ever done anything outside of this? Now, he's still acting. He still does other things. He's done a lot of theater in Europe, But that was the one thing that was pointed out, and then I ended up doing a deep dive many years ago about that. So, I mean, I didn't want to do that again this time, so there's a lot of details I don't remember about this movie, but I just remember it being, when I read, just
time has
tripping
not
me
been
out.
kind in the film industry to exploiting children.
Oh, no, no, no. Also, before I forget, I need to do a quick shout out because this is dear to my heart here. So, Jerry Goldsmith did the original score. And it didn't do well in the test in the U.S. when they were doing with the test audiences. So they kept that for the European one, apparently. But instead, for the American release, they got Tangerine Dream to do the soundtrack, which I think it works. I don't remember ever hearing the Jerry Goldsmith version, and it probably would take me out of the movie because I'm so used to the Tangerine Dream version. So Tangerine Dream, if you don't know, are very, they're instrumental, but they're a lot of synthesized instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite Tangerine Dream album is Stratosphere, and I could listen to that thing from top to bottom. I used to go to sleep to it every night. And it was one of my favorite albums just to have this beautiful background music. Conversely, the song at the end of the movie is done with Tangerine Dream did the music, and the lyrics were by John Anderson. Now, if you know John Anderson and you hear this song, you immediately, if you know that is the lead singer from Yes. I have a deep love of Yes.
Well,
So
you cannot mistake
that man's voice. No.
his voice. You're going to always know that's the guy from Yes.
Yeah, if you know Yes, you're going to know John Anderson. Even if you don't know his name, you're going to go dude from Yes. Exactly. And granted, I don't listen to an extensive amount of Yes. Most of the songs I like are on the classic Yes album because that's the best album in my opinion.
It's the best compilation.
Really, it is. It's got all of their good stuff, and it does not have Owner of a Lonely Heart on there, which thank God, because our son used to go around.
I don't think it's the worst song ever. I just think it's too much. It's gotten so much saturation.
Well, that, and it was a product of its time. They were trying to
tired of hearing it.
Well, they were trying to do something that was more to that time period and be more relevant. But our son used to go around singing Owner of a Lonely Boat. Owner of a lonely boat is much better than an owner of a broken boat. Oh, that kid. To this day, I will go around, I'll sing that version of it because it's funnier in my head than to sing the original. So yeah, I had to do my Tangerine Dream and John Anderson shout outs. Also I don't know why they did this. Unicorns, you would assume would make a unicorn sound like a horse sound because, I mean, they're a horse.
The whale call.
The whale call.
It's a fucking whale call. You know why? You know how I know? Because I watched Star Trek.
And it's a humpback whale call.
I watched a Star Trek movie. So I know what a whale call sounds like.
So, yeah, that was just ridiculous.
Or anytime you've been on Discovery Channel before, 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
The mid-2000s. But yeah, I mean, it was so weird to have a whale call.
Mm-hmm. Though I think one of the things that they did cinematography-wise...
Is it the same for other versions? Or is it the whale call?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
I think it's
just the
on.
US?
I think it's just...
Are they just fucking with the Americans?
So in the scene where they take the horn and the horse falls down, it looks like it's struggling.
Right.
They actually did it as the horse was standing up. They filmed it as the horse was standing up, and horses are a little bit hard to get up once they get down.
Yeah, they just reversed it.
They just reversed it so it looked like it was struggling. Otherwise, it would have been like very smooth because horses can be very smooth in one way, but not in the other. And if you spent any time with horses, you know they're beautiful, they are grace, but they are also hot messes on wheels in all arms and legs without the arms,
Right.
But this is. I don't know. There's just so much about this movie.
Most of mine is visual. Again, I just don't care about the actual story.
No.
I care about the concepts that it does represent. Mm-hmm. I have actually enjoyed talking about the movie more than I thought I would because I don't enjoy watching it.
It's not a movie that... First thing, most people don't even remember this movie. And when they do remember this movie, they remember it in either a fond way or they remember in it, oh, that was that creepy movie with the dude in red, right? Because they don't really remember it. And if they remember it fondly, like me, it's because of they were young when they saw it, and you don't realize how bad something is when you're younger, and then later on you watch it and you're like, holy shit. Hence, Short Circuit.
Well, so
but
tell me, sorry. Go
no,
ahead
no,
and
no. I'm
finish
just
your-
saying, but it's definitely a movie that you don't. It's underappreciated on so many levels, but then at the same time, the shit that it gets, it's justified.
It's owned, yes.
Yeah.
So tell me how you feel now watching it again after so many years.
So it's not one of the movies like other ones we have watched where it's been like decades since I'd seen it, and this has only been a couple years because I played it with my sixth graders one time, and that was a couple of years ago I watched it. So it still holds a place in my heart. It will always be on my list of favorite fantasy movies. It will always be just a good memory for me. And of course, Tim Curry is not a healthy man. He is very ill, and someday we will lose him. And I will be very sad that day. And this movie would be one of my favorite memories of him. And it is just, it's got the unicorns in it that remind me of my grandfather. It has music that I love. And even if the acting is crap, I'm still going to make my grandchildren listen to it or watch this movie. I'm going to make their little butts sit down, and they're going to listen, and they're going to watch it, and they're going to bitch about it, and they're going to say, oh, this is horrible. Why is it so fuzzy looking?
Because again, we're not going to spring the money for it.
I have it on DVD. I just didn't have it with us when we were watching it. So yeah, it's I love it. How I feel, I feel like it's not, I wouldn't say it's aged well. I just feel like it has stood the test of time for me.
For your nostalgia.
For my nostalgia.
Gotcha.
How does it make you feel?
Still bored. I'm still bored. I appreciate more the nuance in the characters. Mm-hmm. Not the characters themselves, but what they represent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like everything for me that is important is about the subtext.
Yeah.
The text itself sucks.
Oh, it's
the subtext is dramatic, and it's empowering, and it's also scary. I wrote down a line, and I want you to listen to it and just tell me what you think of it. Because it just wrote something, I wanted something at the end that summed up my feelings about the movie.
Okay.
Okay? And this is just a one line to completely sum up the concept of the subtext. Mm-hmm. Evil has fear. Good has pain. So for me, this movie represents like the evil or the darkness. Mm-hmm. It's always about fear. It reacts out of fear. And good reacts as a pain. Mm-hmm. So when good is attacked, it's as a pain to its heart, a pain to its body, a pain to its feelings.
Yeah.
Whereas evil does not have that. Evil fears. Fears for its body, fears for its soul, fears for the things. And you even hear the Lord of Darkness talking about his soul.
I mean, he begs for his father to help him.
Right. He reacts out of fear. The dark things react out of fear. So for me, this movie has changed in a way in that I have understood the subtleties of not just the set designs and stuff, because I can see where the seams are. But they don't matter. The seams don't matter. In fact, the seams kind of make everything look right.
There's little details that I love, like when she first is dancing, or she first goes into the room where the dress is, and right before she sees the dress, there's a little imp that looks like a statue, and then it moves in the shadows and watches
Fantastic,
her.
right?
It's like
that part of the scenery, which is supposed to be immobile, is moving, and it's because the scenery is watching you back.
Yep.
And so, again, that subtlety, the things that are happening in the scenes, the things that are happening in the subtext, they move me more than they ever did when I was a child, because I'm seeing the things that I recognize
Yeah.
as parts of me, as parts of my darkness or my light or my innocence or my fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I see those reflected back in the movie. The dancing, the dance of corruption is what I'm calling
Yeah.
it. It moved me. It was hauntingly beautiful to me.
Yeah.
And, even the gothic Wonder Woman part where she twirls, it's the transformation, but it's not a transformation of lightness or of being. It's a transformation of fear. And I understand what that means. I understand that's a fear response or a trauma response.
Yeah.
And so now I'm recognizing these things I never saw as a child.
Well, yeah, because
So-
even when she changes, she's still, you can see it in her eyes.
Right.
She's scared. She's scared of what she is becoming. She's scared of what she's seeing.
She's scared of the thing before her. She's
Yeah.
scared of the things around her.
But then she starts to realize that the only way to go out is to go through.
Right. And even the food is threatening. Everything there is threatening. Everything is a
black
threat.
and-
Everything is a weapon. And she sees that as this is now a battle for not her soul so much as her identity. And I very strongly, can recognize that and see that for what it is. And I appreciate this film more now. Not in its writing. I still think that the dialogue sucks. Dialogue's horrible. And that could be the editing. I don't care.
I'm just glad they didn't force him to do British accents.
Yeah. I am very glad that Tim Curry still holds it all together. Every time he speaks, it is like a refreshing oasis in a dialogue hell.
So we use a word often, gravitas. He has that
Yes.
gravitas. But what I hear is that honeyed voice, that deep, that timbre of...
He's the British foghorn leghorn. He really does. He really has that eloquence of speech, that eloquence of movement, of dialogue, in which he can actually... The way that she dances, the way that he speaks. He speaks in light and hard steps. And each one of those steps becomes a dance. Tim Curry speaks like a waltz.
Yes.
And you feel that every time he is in these scenes, you feel that, and it draws you in.
So it's funny. It was explained to me many, many, many years ago when I did theater that some people have a natural tendency to have iambic pentameter in their speech. And it's the flow of the way Shakespeare wrote. It's that up and down, up and down. And when you deliver Shakespearean lines, there's this whole up and down you do. And Tim Curry has that. He has whether it's something he's learned in his, education and,
developed on his own.
Yeah. But he does have that iambic pentameter, that pendulum way of speaking, that up and down, that just, it's very rhythmic, but yet at the same time, it's especially because in this role, and I feel like he uses it in other roles too, because we'll go back to thinking about Clue, how fast he speaks in Clue. I speak fast. I know I speak fast, and I love songs like the songs that Blues Traveler does, and you have to sing over.
Very fast, like shotgun.
Fucking love it.
Or not shotgun, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a semi-automatic fire. You're just getting those bursts of lines.
I love that. And then he does that in Clue. And especially like at the end of the movie when he's going through each scenario and he's doing it faster and faster and faster. But here he slows down. But in both cases he has, like I said, it's the rise and fall, the ebb and tide of his voice. He has that. But it's done in so you know that he can do the fast talking and the fast lines, and the delivery is flawless. But it's also hard to speak slowly. I have a hard time speaking slowly. I have had to many years train myself to speak slower than I do, and even then I know especially when I just don't care, I'm like and working with children, especially working in the South, nothing against people in the South, but y'all can't keep up with my fast talking. And I have been told many, many times, take a breath and slow down. and I don't realize I'm talking that fast. So to make yourself talk that slowly is very difficult when it's not your normal. And he pulls it off where it's not boring, it's not overly drawn out. He has the right pacing between words where you're waiting for the next word. Sorry, Rocky Horror Picture Show just popped into my head. I see you shiver with anticipation. So, I mean, he has that delivery.
Yeah, he draws you in. He draws you into his speech so that you don't even realize, like when he's talking to Lili, and
But then he gets angry.
he gets angry, it is a shock because you've been pulled in so far in that you don't even see the full picture anymore.
Oh, God, yeah.
You're only noticing his mouth.
And yeah, he's so, and you're lulled by his voice and his calm, and then boom, he freaks out.
And then you notice the horns.
Yeah,
then
and you're
you
like,
notice
holy
everything.
shit, he's red.
You forgot that he was there as a monster. You forget that for an instant.
But also, when they do the close-ups of his makeup, like on his face and the horns and everything, that is a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah, no, it's well done.
I mean, as much as I feel so bad for what he went through to wear that and to do those lines and just to pull off this role, just the beauty of that one piece, it is flawless. That you don't even recognize him. If it wasn't for the voice, you wouldn't even recognize him as Tim Curry in that costume.
Right. So, this is the parts of the podcast that I dread.
Oh, God.
The Castellini test.
You know what? This one might surprise us.
Let's go through it. I'm not making any judgments until I just know sometimes
Yeah.
I know sometimes they're painful for me just because I have an idea, but I don't want to express it.
Yeah.
There have to be at least 2 named women characters with at least 5 lines of dialogue each.
Okay, we have Nell, we have Lili, we have Una. And technically, the British, or the not the British, sorry, the French cut is Meg Mucklebones.
Right.
Even though Meg is portrayed by a man.
Those characters must have a conversation, not necessarily with the other woman, either not about their partner or with their partner, future or current, and not about their relationship.
Okay. So, Lili and Nell do not talk about a relationship.
Right?
Okay?
Right?
Now, Lili does talk to Jack about a relationship, but not the whole entire time that they're together. They only talk about it after the unicorn incident when they talk about marriage. Then,
most of their conversation is about their relationship.
Okay. Now, Lili and Darkness. So while it's talking about
It's about their relationship.
Una does not talk about a relationship except for one little scene when she wants him to kiss her, but it's not because of a relationship. She just wants him to kiss her.
She wants to be paid because she's a fairy.
Yes, and she wants to be kissed like she matters.
Right.
And not like a little like that, like what he did. And she wanted to be
She wants to be paid.
Yes.
She's a fairy.
Yes, but I mean, like her complaint was that
Right.
Do I not deserve? Do I not?
And she absolutely did.
But she didn't want a relationship with him.
Right.
She just wanted the kiss.
Right.
And she has other conversations with him when she's getting when he gets the armor. She talks to him about her secret.
Yeah, it's just important to know that Lili talks about her relationship with either Jack or Lord of Darkness. Those are all about relationship.
Yes.
Not once did they talk outside of the relationship. And then you have her speech, when she talks to Nell, and when she talks to anyone else, it's not about relationship.
Yes.
So you have that. Very
So
few
she has
instances.
both. But like I said, I think with Lili...
Still passes. I'm
Lili
just
and Nell
saying, it's important to note that this is all about relationships. Lili is the fulcrum, so it's going to almost always be about
and then it's also
relationships.
a relationship between good,
Right.
darkness and light too.
Conceptually, yes. At least one of the women has to be integral to the plot, meaning that if she were written out of the film, it could not reach the same ending.
Well, I mean, if Lili wasn't there, she wouldn't have pet the unicorn, and then the unicorn would not have been captured.
And yeah, That's it.
So she's basically... Now, would I consider this a feminist movie? No. While it does pass the Castellini, I still wouldn't consider it a feminist.
I don't think the test, and Brie has even said this, that it's not about that necessarily. This is about more, does it even exist in the film?
I mean, true. So this does have that, it does have some females. Could it have more? Yes.
Here's my thing. Do women have onus in the film? Yes. In this, some women do have that ownership. They have agency.
Yeah.
Lili has agency. In fact, the two men in the film spend their entire time in the film trying to change her mind because she does have agency.
I mean, in reality, if he hadn't been there, if Jack hadn't come to her rescue, I'm pretty sure she would have gotten out on her own in some way, shape, or form. She might have gotten hurt more so than she did, but I think she probably would have done a bit more damage.
Yeah, but without her, the film wouldn't even happen.
No.
So I think that we can say that, yes, this does pass the Castellini test.
Yes.
More importantly, it's not about so much being a feminist film, so much as the women in the film have agency. Mm-hmm. Una had agency.
Una has tons of agency.
Right. And no one is forced to do anything in this film that they can't get themselves out of.
Oh, yeah. Because even Screwball, he volunteers to climb up the chimney because he's the littlest. And they're like, well, I hope I'm not going to regret this. And he was very proud of himself. And he even had a little bit of regrets. But he was proud of himself that he stood up instead of constantly hiding, because that was his motive, is to hide. So
here's a little thing to think about. Without Una in the film, darkness would not have lost.
No, because Una wouldn't. Because then Screwball wouldn't have gotten. He passed out once he got to the top of the chimney, and so he didn't get the mirror set up for the sun.
That was Una.
Yeah, Una did that. So yeah, no, Una would have. If without Una, the movie would have not happened, and the darkness would have won. Yeah. Oh wow. So if you would like to see this movie on your own, you can rent it on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, and Fandango, usual suspects, about $3.79 to $3.99. Or, as we have discovered, the Internet Archive, which is free. So, when in doubt, and if you don't mind that it's a little blurry, you can always watch it on the Internet Archive.
Thank you for sharing this emotional journey with us. This has been Once More with Feelings with Beth and Michelle. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at OMWFPod. Visit our page at oncemorewithfeelings.podbean.com. Or send us an email at omwfpod@gmail.com. Take a moment to subscribe and rate us on iTunes and wherever you listen to our podcasts.
They shot me in the brain pan.
Is that how you want to go out? Really?
They shot me in the brain pan.
Okay, I guess we're doing this. I'm leaving it in. This is on you.
Okay.
It's what you're going to be known for. That and Tom Cruise's Mighty Thews.
The Thews.
You're nothing but an animal.
We are all animals, my lady.